What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. This is my betting breakdown video for UFC Vegas 83. We got Song Yadong going against Chris Gutierrez.
I need all the wins, yeah. Harder than all that is. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out. Knocked out.
And we are back for another betting breakdown video. This week we are breaking down a card back in the Apex in UFC Vegas 83, a card that I'm definitely looking forward to, a card that has a later start time as well, so it's going to be a very late night. Before we get started, if you guys could please do me a favor, leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already. It is always much appreciated. I'm going to be going through these fights from a betting perspective and a betting perspective only. If you do want a further breakdown on why I'm betting what or why I'm picking who, I did post a full card breakdown video earlier in the week. Sorry for the late delay, the late release here. I was up late last night, like I kid you not, like 5 o'clock in the morning, finalizing my bets, putting everything in, and then I set my alarm to wake up somewhat early, but my alarm did not go off. My phone was on silent, so it's one of those days, but I am here. I'm not going to leave you guys hanging, and we're going to talk some bets here. My plan for this week is to go light-ish. I do have 6 units on the line, which is probably honestly too much for this card, but going to go kind of all out for next week, UFC 296. A ton of spots are sticking out already, and I'm going to have probably more action next week than I've had this week and last week combined, I'm thinking. So yeah, lots of spots sticking out next week. This week there are some spots sticking out, but yeah, we'll definitely talk about it. All right, we're going to get right into it here. We're going to start with the first fight on the card we have. And this order's kind of messed up, guys. I'm sorry about it. Haven't really had time to kind of change the order around. But the first fight we are going to talk about is Costa going against Steve Garcia. And I do have a bet here. So last week I was planning on betting the under 1.5 rounds at plus 105. And I went to bet the under 1.5 rounds, and then the fight was canceled. Steve Garcia pulled out of the fight on fight day. So that was off the table. They then rebooked the fight to this week. They move it up a weight class, and yeah, nothing's really changed at all, other than what happened to Steve Garcia. Why did he pull out? Was he apparently he was sick, or yeah, I don't know. But yeah, nothing's really changed for me. The prediction's the same, and the bet's kind of the same. What I do like though is I like the fight won't start round 3 on FanDuel Sportsbook. It's sitting at minus 138. I have 1.5 units on it. There's not much difference between that and the under 1.5. I think on some books is like minus 110, minus 115. So paying a little bit more juice just to get that extra half of a round, which I do like. I mean, I struggle to see this fight going 10 minutes here. I think these guys are going to stand and bang until one man falls. This guy Steve Garcia is kind of a glass cannon. He has a ton of knockdowns for, a ton of knockdowns against. I don't love his durability. Costa hits very hard, and he also has a slick submission game as well. So I feel like there's just paths for both guys to finish here. I think this is going to be an all-out war in the Apex, and I see somebody getting served within the first 10 minutes. So give me the fight won't start round 3, 1.5 units, minus 138. Earlier in the week, they had it on BetRivers for minus 120, which should have hopped on there, but it is what it is. I still like the minus 138 there. All right, moving on to the next fight. We got a really good fight here. Rayon dos Santos going against Talita Alencar. A fight where I'm going to be looking at this fight more so from like a live betting standpoint here, just because Alencar, I actually think she has a really good chance here to win this first round. In the first round, she's pretty good. Her wrestling's okay, but her jiu-jitsu is very, very high level black belt, very dangerous in the mat. I love the control, but what I don't like about Alencar is the cardio. I mean, she slows down massively as the fight goes on. In her Contender Series fight, she was looking very, very tired after even the first round. And then after, in the third round, she was completely death-gassed, didn't have anything left. What I will say, though, is Alencar is extremely tough. I've seen her eat literally like 5, 6, 7 flush knees shooting in for takedowns. Like, she has an incredible chin. Even on the Contender Series, she was eating some shots. So I think this fight goes to decision. I think it's relatively competitive. I think it's kind of a situation where Alencar wins the first round. She starts to slow down. Santos starts to take over. So instead of laying minus 190 on Dos Santos, I'm probably going to take a look at it from a live betting standpoint, but the pick is going to be Dos Santos by decision. Alencar, round 1 might be something to look at, but I don't have a ton of faith in that, to be honest. Moving on, we got Luana Santos going against Stephanie Egger. Yeah, nothing here for me. It's a dog or pass situation. What really interests me is the fact that Luana Santos has been fighting at flyweight her last several fights. she comes up to bantamweight here, right? And she misses weight at bantamweight, which just doesn't make a ton of sense. Like against Juliana Miller, it was at flyweight. She made weight no problem. And then she comes up to bantamweight, a weight class up, and she weighs in like 139. Like, I'm not sure why or what happened there. Is she sick? Is she hurt? Did she do it on purpose? Like, I don't know. Like, it's really weird that she missed weight at bantamweight. She's never missed weight in her entire career before. So I don't know what to think here. But what I do think is this is a close fight. I don't know whether this weight miss hurts Santos, helps Santos, because I think for Egger to win this fight, she is going to have to get the fight down to the mat. Maybe that extra weight helps her or whatnot. But it's a dog or pass fight for me. I do like Egger ever so slightly, but do I want to bet it? Not entirely, but I'm kind of leaning the Egger money line, if anything, but I don't think I'm betting this fight. I don't think I want to get there. I think it's super close, so I think it's going to go to decision. I think it's going to potentially go either way. I think both these fighters are super similar. What I will say, though, is don't lay minus 155 on the Juana Santos. Don't do it, but I think I'm going to pass on this fight. Nothing wrong with passing, and I'll be passing on this fight. Next, we got Kevin Jusay going against Song Kenan. Yeah, I'm passing here. I think it's just kind of like the last fight. It's a close fight, so I probably should be taking the dog, but I just don't have a ton of faith in Song Kenan. I really don't. But Kevin Jusay, I think he's getting a little bit overrated for his performance against Kiefer Crosby in his debut. I don't think Kiefer Crosby's that great. Song Kenan is a guy that I don't think he's that great as well, but I think he's a lot better than we kind of thought he was. I mean, a lot of people thought Song Kenan was like the biggest bum ever. That's just not the case. He went out there, won a round against Ian Gary. That's not easy to do. He pulled off a big upset against Rolando Bedoya. It's just another close fight here. Kevin Jusay, I think he's super skilled. I think, honestly, he's probably the more skilled fighter, but he's hittable. He's low volume. He's tough, though. He's super tough. So I don't think Song's going to knock him out or whatnot. I think this fight is going the distance, and I think it's going to be relatively competitive and close. So another fight that I'm not in love with, don't have the best read on, but I'm going to pick Song for the upset. Don't have a ton of faith in it, and plus I missed the line as well. Song Kenan was a much bigger dog earlier in the week. Seems to be the public dog of the week, I think. So we'll see if that works out. But yeah, I'm not touching it. Tatsuro Taira going against Carlos Hernandez. Yeah, I don't have anything here. What I will say, though, is, Tatsuro Taira is minus 625. Like, his submission prop at plus 100 to plus 120. I think that's kind of what I would look at if I was to bet this fight. It's one of those spots where it seems like too good to be true type spots. Like, seems too easy, right? And Carlos Hernandez, he's not some bum grappler. I think he's either a brown belt or a black belt. He's a good grappler. We've seen him fight out of a lot of spots. So, although I do lean the Tatsuro Taira sub, I don't think it's a situation where, Taira takes him down and insta-taps him. But I think across 3 rounds, there are going to be plenty of opportunities to find that sub. And, taking a minus 600 favorite, turning it into his best win condition at plus money, I don't hate it, but it's not something I'm in love with this week. I don't think that the sub prices, we don't usually see sub prices this low. We really don't. So the pick is Taira by sub, but not going to get there. If I'm forced to bet this fight, it would be a shot in that plus money sub, though. Moving on, we got Hung Sung Park going against Shannon Ross. Now, this fight's wild to me. I don't really think Hung Sung Park should be minus 700 against anybody here. But here he's minus 700 against Shannon Ross. I think everybody's really low on Shannon Ross, rightfully so. But what I will say is I think these guys, in terms of skill, like skill for skill, this fight is a lot closer than this line indicates. A lot closer. But the problem is one of these guys can take a punch and one of these guys cannot. What I'm doing here is I think they're really overrating the finish ability of Hung Sung Park. This guy's not some murderous power puncher. Does he need to be? Probably not, but my goodness, this guy's primarily a grappler. I mean, he's a really good grappler, slick grappler, but he doesn't have a ton of power. But with that said, though, Jesus Aguilar knocked out Shannon Ross, right? I just think that, people are thinking, hey, Clayton Rodriguez knocked this guy out in 60 seconds. Jesus Aguilar knocked this guy out in 60 seconds. Hung Sung Park's going to knock this guy out in 60 seconds. I don't really see it that way. I think we get an extended fight here. Maybe it's a hot take. Apparently it is with some of these lines. Like the under 1.5 is like minus 175. Like, this is a flyweight fight. It's Shannon Ross went over 1.5 in the Contender Series against Vinicius Salvador after getting dropped a couple times. So, yeah, I think this fight gets extended. The way I'm playing it is I'm just fading the first round here for Hung Sung Park. Hung Sung Park round 1 is plus 100, which again is crazy for a flyweight. He takes a little bit to get going. We saw that in his debut. It took him to the third round to actually start fighting Hong Sung Park. And yeah, he's a good grappler. I'm playing Hong Sung Park round 2, round 3. I got Hong Sung Park round 2 plus 380 for half a unit, and then Hong Sung Park round 3 plus 1100 for a quarter unit. I think it comes later in the fight. I think Shannon Ross hangs in there for a little bit longer than people expect. And then I also think that Hong Sung Park by sub is very live as well. But I'm just playing those round props. I don't want to mess around with the knockout or the sub because obviously you could get knocked out, subbed, club and subbed. So I'm just playing the round 2, round 3, fading the round 1 there. I probably won't watch the first round because it's going to be terrifying. Everything that Hong Sung Park throws, it's going to be very scary. But give me these late Park finish props. All right, next we got Nazareth and Hackbrass going against Jamie Malarkey. And I do have a bet here. I have a shot on Nazareth Hackbrass by knockout. So there's a big discrepancy between lines here. On BetOnline, it's like plus 240, but on FanDuel Sportsbook, BetRivers Sportsbook, the knockout props plus 420. It was plus 470. So big discrepancy there. And yeah, I mean, plus 420 for Hackbrass to knock this guy out, I think it's super live. Like, Hackbrass is a guy that throws a ton of volume. And he has power. It's just not translating to knockouts. Like, he's hurting guys, he's rocking guys, he's dropping guys. It just has not translated to knockouts thus far in the UFC. He has one knockout, but if he wants to knock somebody out, it's going to be a guy like Jamie Malarkey, a guy that blocks punches with his face, a guy that doesn't have the best chin, the best durability. And again, I think Hackbrass is going to hit Malarkey a lot in this fight. And I feel like the knockout is live, or at least a lot more live than plus 420. So I'm going to take Hackbrass by knockout, plus 420, 0.75 units. I think it's super live. I think at the very least he's going to drop Malarkey a time or two. But yeah, I mean, the knockout, I think if it could happen. It definitely could happen. It's definitely on the table. Plus 420 is just way too wide. Next, we got Jung Young Park going against Andre Muniz. And yeah, I like violence here. I like the under 2.5. I like the fight doesn't go. I think it's a striker versus grappler matchup. Somebody's getting served. But hey, the way I'm playing this fight is this. And I like this. Andre Muniz sub 1. And then Park round 2, round 3. That's how I'm playing it. I think Andre Muniz, if he wins this fight, it's going back to his roots. Taking the fight down to the mat. He's an incredible grappler. BJJ black belt. One of the best grapplers in the division. He's kind of went away from that, though. Against Paul Craig, Brendan Allen. I guess we can excuse him from that a little bit because it's Paul Craig, Brendan Allen, both guys black belts himself, really good grapplers, right? But that's not Jung Young Park. I know Park submitted back-to-back fighters, but a lot lower level grapplers than an Andre Muniz. If he submits Andre Muniz, it's going to be incredible, but I doubt it. So yeah, Jung Young Park is going to get taken down early, I think. And Andre Muniz is going to have opportunities to find that first round sub. So I have half a unit on Andre Muniz first round sub at plus 750. And then, if the fight reaches the second round, I highly favor Jung Young Park. Jung Young Park's one of these guys that breaks guys recently with his cardio, the pressure, the pace. He's looking a lot better. Like, Jung Young Park's looking career best at the moment. With that said, though, I think he gets subbed in round 1. But if he finishes the first 5 minutes, he survives those first 5 minutes, I think he really takes over. I think Muniz has a lot of quit in him. I don't think he has great cardio. Muniz has been finished 6 times. 6 times. 5 by knockout, 1 by sub. If this fight reaches the second round, I think Muniz is going to get finished in either the second or third round. So, Muniz sub 1, half a unit plus 750. I like that on the Muniz side. And then Park round 2, half a unit plus 600. And then Park round 3, half a unit plus 1,000. I think it's Muniz early or Park late in this one. That's how I'm playing it. Next, we got Tim Elliott going against Sumadarji. So, yeah, this one's interesting. So, yeah, the one thing that stuck out early on initially when researching this fight was Elliott by sub. And I'm like, yeah, I think I might like Elliott by sub, and I think I'm going to get a good price on it. Like, Elliott doesn't sub anybody. Literally, he doesn't. I mean, Elliott has 1 submission win in his entire UFC career, and the dude's been fighting for, in the UFC for at least, over 10 years. Like, it's crazy. So he has 1 submission win, right? And I look at the submission prop, and it's plus 200, plus 250 for a guy in Elliott who just, like I said, finishes nobody. So, yeah, I mean, that's a terrible line. I need a lot better price than that for Tim Elliott. And then I'm looking at, the fight ends by sub, plus 250, just in case, because Elliott, he gets subbed a lot himself, right? So I was looking at that. And then I was doing my live stream yesterday, and somebody points out Sumadarji by sub, and I'm like, I could actually see it potentially. Like, Tim Elliott loves getting subbed. He's coming in here on short notice. I remember the Brandon Royval fight where he took it on short notice, I believe. He looked really good early, gassed down, and got subbed. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I could see Sumadarji potentially getting a sub. And then I was checking the odds late last night, late Friday night, on the Sumadarji sub, and plus 2,700. Plus 2,700, plus 2,500 on some books. FanDuel has plus 27, DraftKings has plus 25, and then BetOnline has plus 1,400. So there's a big discrepancy between BetOnline and some of these other, onshore books. But yeah, 2,700, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna look into it a little bit more. Has Medarji gotten a submission before? Yes, he has. One. Has Medarji attempted some submissions in the UFC? He actually has. He had 2 submission attempts officially against Luis Smolka. So, probably throwing a unit away here, but yeah, Tim Elliott loves getting subbed. Plus 2,700 against a guy that loves getting subbed. I'm going to take a small sprinkle on that for a quarter unit. I think Elliott wins, though. Elliott by sub's my pick, but we're getting a trash price on that sub. I mean, that's just a trash price. So yeah, give me Elliott to probably win this fight, but that Sumadarji sub sprinkle is kind of the only thing I'm attacking here. Next, we got Khalil Rountree going against Anthony Smith. Yeah, I do have 2 bets here. I like Rountree here a lot. I know a lot of people like Anthony Smith, which is fine. I could see it. I can make a case for him, but I personally just kind of think he's on his way out. He hasn't been looking great. He hasn't been reacting to shots well, and not reacting to shots well and damage well against a guy like Rountree's. I don't think it's gonna work. I mean, Rountree heavy leg kicks, tons of power in his hands. Anthony Smith's been getting hurt in a lot of his fight, and he always hasn't, regardless. But just as of late, he looks different. He's looking for a way out in some of these fights. That Johnny Walker fight was just a terrible look. And Rountree's a guy that, sometimes he shows up, sometimes he doesn't. That's always been the story of his career. But lately, he's been showing some consistency, which I really like to see from Rountree. Rountree's on a roll. He's on a roll. He's looking career best, and that's because he's finally putting together, back-to-back performances, which that's not really something we've seen in the past from the guy. So the way I'm playing this is I think Rountree, if he wins, it is an early knockout. Rountree, all of his wins in the UFC have come in the first or second round by knockout. The one win that didn't was against Dustin Jacoby, and I thought he lost that fight. I didn't really think it was that close. So, yeah, when Rountree's winning, he's winning by knockout. He's winning by knockout early. He's very explosive, very dangerous. And, one thing I like about Rountree compared to, say, Johnny Walker or, say, to Ryan Spann last fight, whenever those guys hurt Anthony Smith, they let him off the hook big time. Whereas Khalil Rountree, when he hurts you, he's a killer. He goes all out. Like, I remember the follow-up shots he had against Chris Daukaus his last fight. The follow-up shots against, losing my voice, Carl Roberson a couple fights ago. I mean, Khalil Rountree, when he's on, he is on. 1 second. Like, losing my voice. That's why you do not record first thing when you wake up. But, yeah, Khalil Rountree, round 1 KO, 0.75 units, plus 220. Khalil Rountree, round 2 KO, half a unit, plus 650. I'm looking for Khalil Rountree to knock out Anthony Smith in the first or second round. Main event time, Song Yadong, Chris Gutierrez. I like Song Yadong here. No hot take for me. He's a big favorite. If you're looking for a solid parlay piece this week, I think Song Yadong is your guy. Yeah, I like a lot of things about him in this matchup. He's younger, more likely to make improvements. I like the volume, the power, potential wrestling. I like the fact that this is 5 rounds. He's been to the 4th and 5th round before. Just a lot of reasons to like Song Yadong. Chris Gutierrez, I think he's good. It's just, this is kind of a step down for Song Yadong. Song Yadong's a guy that has been fighting some very good fighters as of late. I think this is going to be one of those fights where he beats Chris Gutierrez in a main event spot, and he takes a step up. He gets one of these top guys again. So yeah, I like Song Yadong here. Parlay piece, if anything, nothing's really sticking out too much from a betting perspective, but I think Song Yadong gets it done. So yeah, guys, there you have it. Those are the bets for UFC Vegas 83. I probably have too much action on this card, to be honest, but looking forward to it. There's some spots sticking out. We'll see if we can hit some of these plus money spots, and we'll see what happens there. 10 bets, 9 plus money. Just got to hit a couple plus money bets to come out with some profit. And then, like I said, next week for UFC 296, going to go a lot heavier. I'm loving next week from a betting perspective. A ton sticking out already. And I'm really looking forward to that. Be on the lookout for the Best Bet Show, going to be going live at 5:30 Eastern Time for Best Bet. And then other than that, guys, enjoy the fights, and we'll talk to you very soon. See you later.